Hello, and welcome back to the Mead Hall for today's episode of the War Table. I'm your host, Jay, and today I am joined by...
Al!
John?
And Rosa.
Thank you very much for joining me, guys. So, in today's battle, we see the Dark Angels, led by the Lion himself, take to the battlefield alongside the Solar Auxilia, facing off against the Night Lords in what quickly becomes a brutal and chaotic engagement. With heavy armour, titans, and elite infantry all thrown into the fray, this is less a battle of careful positioning, and more a test of who can survive the storm. Let's dive into the action. We have made planetfall beyond the city's reach, far from where Kurz lost his battle. Yet his failure was not just in defeat, but the lack of delay. Enough time for our prey to prepare. Even as we advance through the wastes without resistance, we perceive no pursuits, no ambushes, only silence. That should have been our warning. The city lies ahead of us now, but we will not reach it unchallenged. They are waiting for us. Dug in, fortified. Not just militia, not scattered defenders. A line, disciplined, ordered, ready. And they are not alone. I see them now, in their green armour, set among the ruins. Brother Astartes. Not even just that. The First Legion. So this is what your failure has brought us, Kurz. Fine. Let them gather. Let them fortify. Let them believe this line will hold. We will strip it apart piece by piece. And when the walls fall, we will drag them into the dark with us.
Hold the line! You are not brought to this war to falter! You are brought to endure! Steel and fire crash against us, yet still we stand, as we must, as we always must. The enemy may surround us, but this is good. Let them come! Let them break themselves upon these walls and learn what it means to face the First Legion. You will not yield. You will not retreat. You will stand and you will fight until there is nothing left but your singular will. Faith be your armor. Duty is your blade. And I will see this position held, or I will see it buried beneath our dead.
So then, here we are. We've got the battle set up. The lines are ready. Night Lords versus Dark Angels.
Slash Titans.
Yeah.
So yes, we didn't quite have quite enough Dark Angels to fill out a full roster yet.
And you know, it was the first time actually I'd run a full all part army, and actually it was quite good fun. I quite like it, having a little bit of everything.
It benefited you quite well.
Yeah, it was. It definitely feels almost like how Legions was kind of meant to be, with like a little bit of just a nice sprinkling kind of between, and it also I was very much going like. We'll talk about it when we get to kind of the deployment, but like viewing the Dark Angels like an elite force kind of in between supporting the Auxilia.
Yeah, it's a very narratively thematic force as well. Conversely, the very narratively peculiar armor heavy Night Lords.
Yeah.
We don't play by the strict law rules really, but it's fine. It all looks cool.
It all looks cool. It all looks very cool.
And that is the main.
Not when you're writing the lore yourself.
Today's mission was the modification on the standard Legions one.
Yeah, so essentially, to basically put in context what we've done, obviously, is we do have a series of missions I've written that we like to use, which is a little bit different to the standard ones. This particular one, just because obviously John and Elsa are still kind of getting used to the rule setup and everything, we decided to make something a bit impromptu and a bit quicker, and we were also trying out a new system as well, which I'll come on to in a second. So we want to keep everything nice and toned down. So basically what we do is we pull the Carnage mission out of the Legion's rules and turn that into a beefier primary mission. So basically, kill stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So your primary purpose was take a few objectives and kill stuff. So on this particular board as well, as we kind of alluded to in the intro, we are back in the city of Carthax, and the Night Lords have finally somehow made it in, despite Kurz's previous blunders. One of his seconds or commanders has managed to sneak in the back. But obviously, while all this is going on in the outskirts, the Dark Angels have reinforced the positions of the city's defenders. So who knows what might be happening in the city, but there's still a remnant of Imperial defense going on.
This planet is not having a good time.
It is not. There's a lot going on.
It reminds me of the fact that Dawn of War was on one planet and every faction was there fighting.
Yeah, we're basically recreating Dark Crusade.
Just everybody's here. They all have their own reason. Everybody's here though.
The gang's all here, and it's not a good time for the planet.
So this is going to be an interesting one as the narrative develops. Yeah, so we're back inside the city. As you can see from the train, there's a couple of what I would call very obvious firing lanes on the sort of top and bottom of the board here. Now, I affectionately refer to these in a narrative way. So we've got the north and the south. So whenever you see these board sets, we will quite often refer to north, south, east, and west. And we've got a firing lane at the top and on the north and the south. Okay. Yeah. That will be brought up later. That is a hint at what might be happening at some point during this discussion. But before we go into that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide our camera so you guys can get a nice good view of the battlefield. And we're going to go through the two deployments of our players here. And as you can see, we've gone for a different deployment style as well, a bit like last game as of this recording as well, where we've gone sort of short edge deployment. Shake things up a little bit. So let's...
And a bit more space in the middle as well.
Yes, so let's have a look at the Night Lords army. So talk us through briefly sort of what your game plan was going into your deployment.
I mean, I was basically trying to place my most important stuff away from the Titans, because John had two of them. So I kind of strategically placed certain things first. So with the stuff with like all of like the really shooty guns, like the Mastodons and the Kratos, and my new super heavies were the first things that I kind of were like, right, okay, this needs to go here, this needs to go here, because I was trying to avoid these two Master Titans. And then I had two objectives in my backline, so I knew I had to get a unit on both of those, so I got those immediately. Not much thinking other than that, to be completely honest. I kind of was I was watching the order that John was putting stuff down in very carefully, and in the beginning I was kind of like, I've got this. I was quite confident in it early on. I guess we'll have to wait and see if it benefited me to do that.
Well, let's have a look at the other side of the table.
The general kind of plan here was have quite a strong front line, in particular using like the Auxilia tanks, and like that Titan I held back with quite a lot of stuff, in the sense of, because I had a lot of units that were going down, because it was a real mixed force, I was putting stuff down that I knew was going to stay put. So for example, like the Basilisks, they just occupied a back corner. I spread them out basically almost as far as they would go, still within unit cohesion, and just took over a corner of the board, and they just got to sit there. Like that was all they had to do. They just had to sit there and just fire guns, make sure nothing can get behind them, and just keep going. The Titans I was holding off. There was one of the Titans with like it had the twin conversion, two sets of the twin conversion beamers. I think they are twin conversion, or they're just conversion beamers.
I think they're just referred to as conversion beamers.
Either way, two of those are on either side, and that was one of the last pieces that went down. But I always knew where it was going to go. But if it had some potential kind of wiggle room depending on essentially where Els ended up putting stuff down. Once like some big force stuff was on the south side of the board, I was like, okay, you're going to go here in this nice kill lane. We'll react accordingly depending on what then happens. I was prepared to kind of move it around, but I was like, this is essentially going to be a bit of an artillery piece. I put it on the front line. I was prepared to basically pull it back if I needed to. One of the bit that I was very much kind of treating my Auxilia as they are going to sit at the back and hold the line, and the Marines are the ones that are going to move forward if I need to move forward. Because I didn't have anything with like aerial reserves or any drop pods, I basically was trying to treat my back line with, I had a good chunk of infantry of the Marines, apart from the ones with jump packs, which were going to go, these are going to go up the board quick as I can. But like the ones with in the Land Raiders, I was like, you're my reserve. You're basically like, I'm not actually going to really worry probably too much about getting them out early. It's when some stuff has been lost. Right now we push forward with the Land Raiders when I need them to. My Leviathan Dreadnoughts, I don't know where else they should have gone, but as I discovered throughout this game, they weren't where they needed to be. But they did a job. You'll see what kind of job they do as we go throughout this. But my favorite of the Sentinels, they sit on a side, and I'm like, you guys are going to run up the board on one side of the table, and maybe you'll do something this time. Maybe you won't. But yeah, the goal of the Sentinels is, in my opinion, is they always hide off one side, and I definitely had more of a game plan going into this game compared to previous ones. Like I was actually trying to think about where things were going to sit in terms of deployment, which, in particular with the two Titans, I was like, I had a different game plan for each of them, and I ummed and ahed in terms of which way around each one was going to go. Because basically I was like, one has short range, it's got to get up close. I'm like, there is a building that is cover, and I'm going to move it up to that building, get it in cover, and then kind of pop it out and essentially try and jump somebody with a Titan, which is not something that I think anybody is particularly expecting to suddenly have. Be like, a surprise, Titan. That was the goal of one of the Titans, and the other one was just like, you're an artillery piece. If they get closer, pull back and keep shooting the big gun.
Perfectly reasonable. I do really like, and I'm really impressed with the way you thought about having like a reserve backline to fill in the gap. Something I don't see being done very often in game, but yet is a very sound military tactic that is basically what a reserve is supposed to be.
It's just in Legions they're already on the board compared to if you're only using kind of land stuff.
Yes, it's basically a way of using a reinforcement concept without having to have stuff off the table. You did that. You did a very good job with that.
I'm locking that one in the memory bank for subsequent games. I'm sure I'll forget it. I'm sure I won't learn from this lesson as much as I hope I do.
So one thing I'm going to mention, which I didn't mention at the beginning as well. So as we move into what is about to be the pre-movement of the first battle round, is that I think we may have mentioned this in a previous episode, that we might consider using a timer to speed up the gameplay. And potentially use it as a way to handicap certain people who aren't allowed to play games without a handicap anymore. And we did try it, and I think the conclusion was it did actually improve the game in some ways.
I found that it helped a lot with decisions during like the ordering, when we're like placing orders on stuff.
Yeah, I think the big part for me was it helped a lot with like decision paralysis in terms of where stuff was going to go. Like if I was going to grab something, I knew that I had to be sure where it was going to go and have a plan. And I think the other part of it is knowing that timer was there. And actually, by the end of it, I think we were regularly kind of coming under the 5 minutes that was essentially allotted for each move. It helped in the sense of I had to go, okay, I know I only have 5 minutes to do the move I'm going to do. I need to think about the move I'm going to do before I'm doing that move. Whereas normally I'm focused on what the other I'm still focused on what the other person's doing, but in my head I go, well, I've got, I don't have to worry about what I'm going to do next. Whereas this was like, okay, something has happened. I have to know I have to have a plan and adjust that plan if something does happen. And I think the other thing that definitely helped, at least from my end, is the composition of an army that I had did give me a little bit of breathing room, because I had some units that I was like, I know I'm not going to do anything with you. I haven't seen the result of a move yet. I'm going to activate them, keep them out the way, and then just give myself just a moment or two more to be like, okay, make your move. I'm sacrificing this unit's ability to do something, but let's see your move come out. And I think having a couple of like activations that I can hold off and like tactically, okay, I'm going to flip this one. Right, now you have to do something. Kind of, I think I want to make sure I've got a couple of those in reserve at all times now.
Definitely did. So you mentioned there that you think you were well below your 5-minute time towards the end. You're well below your 5-minute limit the entire time. So obviously I was sort of adjudicating the game, so to speak. But basically I was just there to take pictures and notes, really. And maybe shout out some rules. In terms of the timer, you both were consistently under 3 minutes almost the entire time. There was only 1 or 2 occasions where I think you slipped over, which is why I think if anyone wants to try this, 5 minutes for your first game or two is a really good idea, but I'm pretty confident in saying a 3-minute timer is probably more than sufficient. Not only because it gives you just enough time to make a reasonable decision without having a rapid fire, but also helps you speed up your games a little bit, because obviously we take even longer because we're stopping and pausing, taking photos and stuff, but even when we're not doing that, the game can last 4 or 5 hours.
This one, we got all the way to the end of the game, but even that was still like like it was quicker than it has been previously in terms of the time that it was taken, because there was just that. And I think the thing is, actually, I think was quite interesting is the first couple of times I saw the timer, but then subsequently when we were actually playing the game, I didn't look at the timer. And it was kind of mentally in my head to be like, oh, I've got to keep going. I don't know how long I've actually been thinking about this. And as you said, when it was coming under the time that we were expected to have.
It certainly added some kind of like anticipation for like the actual kind of like, because in my head, because we had like a target of the time it should take us to do something, it kind of added to that little bit more of like suspense of the game and like keeping engaged. Because I think sometimes when you're playing a game, because obviously they take quite a large chunk of time, you are at risk sometimes of kind of like either losing your train of thought or your strategy at that point. And I think that having the timer there, for me personally, kind of helped with that. It was a good idea, and I definitely think we should try it again.
Eliza, you haven't played with the timer yet, but guess what's happening very soon?
I'm assuming my game Sunday will be with a timer.
It will probably be with a timer. The interesting thing is whether we go for the 5 minutes or the 3 minutes for you. It's up to you. And the question is how much time you're going to give me.
Oh, am I against you?
Oh, yes, you're against me, I'm afraid.
30 seconds. You get 30 seconds to make a decision.
5 minutes versus 30 seconds. Joe, I still reckon I have a chance.
I genuinely do think that there's still a chance.
Right, anyway, enough of future potentials and timings. Let us crack on and find out how this war went. From a spectator's point of view, it was quite an interesting game. And I have many notes, as I'm sure we'll get to at some point towards the end.
Yes.
So, let's have a look at how it went. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly show you what happened pre-game, because there was a couple of pre-game moves, and I've got a cool little graphic here. Just so you all know, I will not be doing this for every single move phase. It takes an age. But for pre-game moves, I'll highlight them for you.
Yes. I do want to highlight I didn't pre-game move everything that I could. In particular, those Land Raiders did not pre-game move by intention. So, because they were my reserve line.
I might have moved everything, or I there was
or by
one.
Big Knights. Do you want to explain? Was there a reason why you didn't pre-game move the Big Knights? I
liked where they were. I didn't want to move them and then run them at risk of getting shot at, because if I remember rightly, they were in line of like some tanks or something with a reasonable range, so I just wanted to kind of hold them back a little bit so that I avoided that.
You definitely wanted to have moved them. Let's crack on into the main game, shall we? So should we head over to Battle Round 1?
Let's head to Battle Round 1.
Here we are. We are now into Battle Round 1, so we're just going to have a quick look at the movement phase. So I'm just going to drop our cameras off the screen just for a second so you can see what we go to. So this is pre-movement, and then after movement, we get something that looks a little bit like this. That's all your movement. Is there anything particularly you want to note here? I'm going to also quickly point out that we did, in fact, also have a cheeky little deep strike at the back here, so maybe we'll come on to that in just a second, but just in case anyone spotted it.
The absolute cheekiest of deep strikes. I think from my end, I was being very conservative with my moves. Only I think probably some of the key points in terms of my movement was skirting the sentinels up the side. Basically, the goal being is I think it was just a squad of infantry that were in that building. I was like, if I can clear that because that was one of the objectives. So
yes, that's down here, right on the south side of the board. Yeah,
so right down on that south side was one of the objectives, and then there was another objective in the center of the board. The south building in the center to the left-hand side was one of the other objectives. And basically I was like, if I can clear some space and take those objectives, I can just hold that space from that point on. And basically it was like, okay, let's start getting some stuff off the board. I managed to make a first turn charge, which I thought was wild, because that was in response to UL using Land Raiders, getting a squad in there, and I was like, what if I just threw this group of jump pack, Marines up the board into there, and only got a couple of bases into contact. I was like, if I can do something there, it'll help, or maybe like a course and battle shock or something like that, and then similarly getting another squad up the board into a building, just to basically kind of chill in that building as they would need to. I'm trying to think of any others. Oh, and queuing up that Titan. Actually, to be fair, that Titan, I was hoping to get it a little bit further up the board, but I didn't. I didn't give it quite enough space. I was like, I'm just going to hang it back here for a bit. But other than that, it was a very conservative movement from my end. But there were some surprising moves.
Oh God.
So what about your movements?
Okay. So let's start from the beginning, right? So we more or less had the same thought about those two objectives, right? The one on the flank and then the one in the center. Because my first idea was I had a pre-game move on my Land Raiders, so I was like, right, I've got 4 Land Raiders, units in all of them, I'll get them right up, take one, dump guys out, take one objective, and then next turn I'll do that. So we kind of had the same kind of thought about getting those 2 objectives and basically and grabbing those points. I may have blundered the rest of the movement in this round, not gonna lie. That's putting it lightly, to be honest. I don't know what to say. It's just a lot of things kept coming up in my face, and I was just like, oh God. And then I thought I could try and outsmart you, but I think I ended up making a fool of myself. The deep strike, if I remember rightly, was to achieve a secondary that meant I had to take the objective in your backline.
It was kill one of my HQs.
That's what it was.
Take out a HQ.
It just happened that the HQ that I wanted to kill was on an objective. That's where I got mixed up. So I had a unit of plasmas in 2 Legion drop pods. Managed to get the drop pods to land. However,
We've got a close-up of that in just a moment, so we'll see what they did in a moment.
there is something very entertaining though. Is before you call that drop pod in, because I knew you had the drop pod. Because I was like, I don't have anywhere for them to go. I moved a squad of Ogryn back towards that guy because I was like, you know what, I'll just put them here. If I need them for a subsequent turn, there's a deep strike in the back line. I'll drop some Ogryn. You know, I can charge them from then. El's not going to deep strike on turn 1. And unfortunately, they were right next to that guy that you wanted to get, and there was no way that you weren't going to touch at least a base of Ogryn in the process of running up there.
There could have been a chance for me to avoid them if I hadn't rolled such a bad charge. I think I only got maybe a 2, or maybe only a 3. And also, if I had thought a little bit more about the placement of my drop pod to begin with, I honestly, looking back at it now, wish that I'd tucked it a little bit further away, and you'll see why in a minute.
By design, my line was not intended to have anything drop into it. It was a very everything was spread out just enough, and I was trying to be how can I make this as difficult to drop something into my back line as I possibly can. And you made a drop that I would not have made, because that was almost on the edge, and you were like, yeah, it'd be fine, I'll just drop in here. And I'm like, I look at every drop pod with the what happens if it moves 6 in any direction, and you were like, just chuck it on there, it'll be fine.
I feel like we need that clip from Star Wars Episode 3 of Anakin. You underestimate my power. And then what proceeds to happen is exactly what happens in the film.
Yeah, there was it was a bold drop pod move. It has, however, led me into think about this for the future. You did teach me a lesson here. When I set up a squad, I need to make sure that you have command in the middle, and then because it's a commander and I think it was 4 bases of infantry, is just spread them around the commander and just stop somebody being able to charge that commander. The flip side is then the commander can't fight back, but it just gives a bit more of kind of an ablative wounds affair.
If the intention is to keep the commander reliable costs, then yes.
I just didn't think. I didn't see the move coming. I fully did not see the move coming in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, that was kind of the thought.
No, it was that played out perfectly. I was shocked.
It was a good move. I think the execution may have benefited from a little bit more pre-planning. I feel like I'm going to point out at this point that those are plasma guns that charged.
They were brave plasma gunners.
We've spoken a lot about the deep strike, and as I said, that is going to come up in a minute. So let's move on. So as you can see, we've only got sort of a couple of points here that we're going to have a look at in Battle Round 1. There you go, you get a full shot of the image there. So we're going to have a look at these focal points. These are the sort of key moments of Battle Round 1, and as you'll see in just a moment, it is predominantly one-sided. Let's have a look at this, shall we? Focal point 1.
Yeah. So the first thing that at least I did was I had a wonderful little shooting line. My Titan set up, and there were just some knights just taking a casual stroll down the road, perfectly in line for the Titan with its twin conversion. But also, my new favourite version of a Lehman Russ is a Lehman Russ with a Vanquisher cannon mounted to it. Because, my god, those things.
Probably should quickly point out that not technically WYSIWYG here.
Yes. Jamie was like, would you like them to have Vanquisher cannons this time? And I was like, please, can I have Vanquisher cannons instead? I didn't even know what they were.
I do have 16 more Lehman Russ battle tanks.
I was like, there's very much time and a place for the regular turrets, but But yeah, the Vanquisher cannons are very good. The conversion beamers as well, and they were at the perfect range to get maximum out of them. Hitting on 2s with like AP -4 and everything else, they did some damage, one might say.
Yeah, so to put it into context for you, I'll set Els up here a little bit. Obviously, John has just spoken about his lovely gun line and his big guns that he's toting right now. They were both targeted a singular unit of knights, 8 Lehman Rush battle tanks and a Titan versus a couple of Sorestas. What happened, Els?
They might have died.
Yeah, died is a strong word.
Yeah, they kind of went kaboom rather than died. This was not my finest hour whatsoever. This was a waste of that beautiful paint job that Jamie did.
I'm trying to remember, were they also on the charge order as well? which I think was a very bold move. Like, I can get why they were on the charge order, but I was like, so they're not going to shoot me, but they are dangerous when they get close, so I don't want them to get close. There's not really much else that I think just behind them, you can just kind of see through them with the Vindicators, and I went, I know I've got another turn before those Vindicators get to me. They're fast, but the Knights are faster. And I'm like, if I can get rid of those Knights with just a solid volley of fire, I'll pick up the Vindicators next turn, maybe.
It's a shame that those Sorestas didn't get closer, because those are the Acheron, which have the big flame cannons, which would have done serious work into infantry in those buildings.
That was why I was looking at them like, no, thank you.
Yeah, that was very good target priority, and I'm afraid to say it was probably not the best place to leave them right in the middle of the firing lane.
I can't even. I don't even have an excuse. I have no words to defend myself with. This was an entirely it's just a stupid decision, really, which is a shame because they're really good, and I think that my priorities were a bit mixed up. I think I should have prioritized them more. I mean, I wasn't expecting all of that firepower to go into that one detachment, which I think was another mistake that I made, underestimating John. It's a recurring theme.
Because I was really wondering, like, what was the thought process in terms of, like, whether you thought I was just going to spread. I guess, you thought I was going to spread fire a bit further around.
Yeah,
I think I was going to save this one till later, but my whole thing with that Titan was you have 2 guns at the back that are Titan killers. And when I saw that they weren't in range in round 1, I was like, cool, I don't need to worry about them this round. And just focused on anything else. And that was definitely a moment where I was like, okay, so I can just pick whatever I want to shoot instead. And those Knights, they're pretty tasty.
Yeah, but they smell. I bet they smell like bacon when they're burning.
I mean, their Night Lords are lined. They're probably covered in skin, so yeah, they probably do smell like bacon as they cook.
I don't know why, but I've now just got in my mind a knight draped in a massive skin cloak.
You know what you need to make now. If you're going for the Baron version.
I now have a conversion idea now for a Night Lord. Let's move on to focal point 2, which I think we probably won't have to spend quite so long on this time because we've kind of already touched on it. But yes, your plasmas did their little charge from drop pod, which is also worth noting. That's a little change we kind of made on the fly because obviously we've changed. Yes. We've changed in house the way charge works. You roll for it now. It's not just a flat double movement, and we also kind of with the randomness that's already inherent in that roll, but also in Deep Strike, we felt that actually it was probably fine to allow Deep Strikers to optionally have the charge order now. It just so happened in this game everyone made their charges. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the course of our playtesting.
It does kind of make sense to have them jump out and charge.
There are definitely some units I would expect to jump out and charge.
Yeah, this is not the one I would have expected.
But a positive.
There is a positive. There is a positive.
They killed a guy.
They killed the guy.
They killed the guy, which that was their intended target. However, not sure if it was entirely worth it because they got squished.
Those Ogryn were like, bah.
Sadly, the big mistake here was also tagging those Ogryn in that charge. You would have lasted another turn with them, but at least then you would have been tying things up for an extra turn.
I'll tell you what you did do though, which I don't think you necessarily like. Obviously, you intended to take out the commander from a points perspective.
I did,
but because they were Solar Auxilia, everything that was on that side of the board, where I was like, okay, I need these things on first fire. You were like, you can't first fire them now because you've taken out my HQ. So I was like, oh no.
I will admit that was actually on purpose. I did actually think about that one.
It is a good move. It's a strong move, and against Auxilia, it's a really nice way of gaining a bit of an upper hand. I like the concept as well as a general rule. Like your commander unlocks the ability to do certain actions. I'd like to see that in the other factions as well. Space Marines are a little bit of an exception, I think, obviously, because they are just they are like specialised.
I feel like we could do that.
Oh, I think you could argue the same principle could be applied to them quite comfortably, but yeah, let's be fair, that will never happen. But anyway, we're gonna move straight on because we've already discussed this little section of the board quite a lot, and we still have other points from round one to look at. So moving on, this is a particular highlight for John, I think.
Oh, this boy! This chaplain. He took this, it wasn't even an objective building, but L put everything into this chaplain. And my chaplain is just a standard command HQ, but rather than having just another captain on the field, I was like, I'm going to have one that's going to be a base that's going to have a chaplain on it, one that's going to have a captain on it, one that's going to have more of kind of lieutenanty role. This was then backed up, attached to a group, so there were 4 stands of tacticals, 2 stands of plasma. This chaplain earned their name. I was like, oh, they're just going to be a chaplain for the purpose of this. Like, no. This chaplain needs a name, and I've spent a long time, so it's now Chaplain Bereth. Is going to be the name going forward. He needed a name because they got shot by everything.
Oh yes, they did.
I wasted so much firepower on this despicable human being. He's isn't human anymore. And,
all the Mastodon.
The Mastodons. Yeah.
The Mastodon shots went in. The Predator shots went in. The missile squads went in. They weren't necessarily they saved a good number of shots, but the shots they failed, the Apothecary was that chaplain was stood there staring at that Apothecary, being like, "You do not let them die," and he's like, "Oh!"
So
these Marines back together.
Of the 3 wounds that went through, all 3 were saved by the chaplain's Apothecary.
It was like that meme. It was like that meme from Breaking Bad when Walter White's stood in front of Saul and he goes, "We're done when I say we're done."
Yeah. There's a Marine with a chunk of this out there be like, "You die when I say you can die."
I know by saying that I'm just admitting how chronically online I am, but that was what I was thinking of at the time. This dude is working overtime, and this guy is just kind of just dictating his life right now. I genuinely was so bitter about this the entire game, because spoilers, folks, but it keeps happening. It keeps happening. This guy, he keeps messing up everything for me. It's great, it's fine. Jesus Christ! I don't even think that the dude dies.
Wait. Let's not jump into too spoilery territory.
There was a lot of shots that went into them, and a lot of shots that I don't think I should have saved, and somehow all of them just kept getting saved. And yeah, that chaplain was gonna hold fast. I expected some shots to go other places. They didn't. And that was flamers from the mastodons, the ignores cover from the missiles. I think you only had range on the las cannons, but they were las cannons with accurate. It was stuff that definitely I should have lost some, and I lost none.
It was pretty impressive the amount of firepower that went in to literally have nothing go down. So it does kind of show how the layering of certain rules there, like cover and field of pain, does actually really make a difference.
I genuinely was like playing my little violin in the corner. Oh, traumatizing.
So,
speaking of traumatizing,
it gets worse. Now this I find personally horrific, considering how much I love my knights.
And the armigers are really good. I having used armigers, I know how good they were. So when Els was moving them up the side, and I was like, okay, I've got this squad of contemptors, and I just basically shimmied the contemptors to one side, going, there's nothing else really that I can get a bead on. And if I can get rid of those armigers, I know they're not going to cause me problems later on. And I went into that going like, I'll get rid of an armiger. Maybe I'll do a couple of wounds to another armiger. What happened was I shot 10 accurate las cannons into armigers, and suddenly there weren't any more armigers.
That hurts me so much. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Contempt Dreadnoughts as well, but the knights.
We were maybe 4 or like 3 or 4 activations in, and I've lost two units.
I was very much like, okay, I've got to, again, like target priority. Those armigers had the guns, they had range on stuff, and they hadn't been. And I was like, okay, those. If I can get to them before they get to me, blow them up. And as I said, the thing was, I was looking at it going like, maybe I'll, if I can cut down the number of guns, that'll be a good thing. And then they all exploded, and I was like, oh.
So my whole thinking of putting them where I did was because I know that people, not naming any names, I know that people, Jamie, like to target my Vindicators. And I like my Vindicators, need my Vindicators, they've got some really tasty guns on them. So I thought, put the armigers in front of the Vindicators. They're a better target. They've got 2 wounds each, they'll be able to tank shots just fine. And the universe looked down at me and went, nah.
I wouldn't call John the universe, but
I'm a big guy. I think the accurate on the contemptors really does quite a lot of carrying, because I think in that was 8 shots that ended up going through, which also is, I mean, that is a lot, even with accurate rerolls. Like, that's only 1 reroll, and dropping 2 out of 10 is kind of, the dice were really hot for me at the beginning of this game.
Oh yes,
they were good.
Just at the beginning.
They were very hot at the beginning of the game. They were very, very hot at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, that chaplain and his squad can attest the fact that they were very hot at the beginning.
I mean, Els is getting a taste of what I normally say about you, John, and your ridiculously good rolling. So yes, we've seen another flank of knights defeated. What else went on? Let's find out.
This was my real goal with the Sentinels was, I knew I couldn't take the building, but if I could clear you out of the building, then I knew I could hold that objective. I kind of threw everything, and I will be honest, I did shoot the Sentinels in a somewhat intentionally mean way, which was I shot the lasers first, and you were like, I've survived the lasers, and I'm like, here's the anti-infantry missiles.
This was what I was referring to before when I was getting those Land Raiders up the board. Because this was a group that was in one of the Land Raiders, hopped out of the Land Raider, hopped in the building to take the objective, and then died.
This is one of those occasions where hiding behind the building would have been more efficient than jumping directly into it.
Yeah, well,
Just pointing out some tactical changes that could be learned from in the future.
In particular, kind of as we are, I think we had this in the last game as well, but like this was, I think, the first game with this rule in the city where the terrain is the objectives, taking that leaf out of taking a leaf out of 11th edition's book of making them an objective, which I personally think works really, really well, because it encourages you to try and take those buildings and hold and fight over the buildings, which feels appropriate rather than just spot on ground.
It creates some interesting targets, that's for sure.
Wait until you see the ideas for 3D models I'm going to make for this.
Those Sentinels did their job valiantly and just cleared that building. Which, to be fair, like they're basically the equivalent of the missile marines, and when you've got a squad of 8 missile marines firing into 4 regular tacticals, even in a building that ignores cover, the odds were not super in your favour at that stage.
The Sentinels for the Auxilia are actually very good.
I really like them. I really, really like them.
They get underestimated quite a lot, but they are very good in certain scenarios. Like on a more open battlefield, they struggle a little bit more, but in a dense city fight scenario, they are very strong.
Yeah, if you're able to hide them.
That's the thing. Sometimes if you, it does depend on the terrain itself and the scenario how good certain units are, and Sentinels are a good example of that, where when you've got the ability to hide them because they're not very tough, they are very effective. Moving on to the final point of this round, and as we can always see, it's been quite bloody. It only gets worse.
Oh, don't even.
This one was a. I've got these 4 missile dudes. They're in a building. They've got like 20 inches of range. What's in range? Couple of Land Raiders. 4 guys with missiles. Couple of Land Raiders. I might remove a Land Raider. That takes a piece off the board for later. Maybe I'll do a wound to a Land Raider. It's only 4 guys. What could they possibly do? Every shot hit. Every shot went through. 2 Land Raiders dead.
I honestly just remember being like, what is life? What's happening right now? It's turn 1. I have lost 3. No, 4. 4 units now. And I'm like, John, I thought we were friends. And John's just there, like a 6'6" kind of massive teddy bear, like, I'm so sorry. I'm just like...
Also giggling to himself at the same time.
I am fully giggling as well.
It's so nasty.
I genuinely felt like I was playing 9th edition 40k again, when Jamie is just killing all of my stuff, and then he goes, oh, your turn! And I'm just like... Where is the turn?
Is the turn in the room with us? A random squad managing to just wipe. Like, it's the fact it was... I like 2 Land Raiders, which save on 2s, like going down to a 3 because of like -1 on the AP. Okay, yeah, they're only a wound apiece, but like, it's 4 guys. They hit on 5s. They shouldn't be able to kill.
I mean, they hit 4s.
4s, yes, sorry, 4s.
So, in theory, 50% should miss anyway.
50% did not miss that day.
But they didn't, did they? No.
There were, I think, buckets of salt in the room by this point.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the end of turn 1.
Only turn 1.
Yeah, so here is the state of the board at the end of turn 1. As we can see, there are some, shall we say, gaps?
There was, I realised actually there was one combat that we didn't discuss, but I will briefly go over. In the centre, the squad of jump packs touched the building, and the squad disappeared that was inside of it. So sorry, El, that was 5 units that I deleted in turn 1.
You're not sorry, and I do not forgive you. No,
I want to note as well that I think this is the only game we've played so far that not a single point from the other side has been made. It is all Dark Angels and Solar Auxilia.
Really, there might be a trend in that statement. No, because remember, I did lose a commander at the back of the field.
Yes, you did.
True. You know what?
wow.
I realise that's so not helping, and I'm so sorry. Again. I'm reliving it, and I feel bad all over again.
You're reliving it. Oh, okay.
I'm rather
Yeah.
enjoying this because for once I'm not the one being targeted for killing everyone else's stuff.
Oh no, I'm the bad guy in this scenario. I know I'm the bad guy in this scenario.
John didn't just kill all of my stuff, okay? He crushed my soul.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
Anyway,
So yeah, as you can imagine, the scores at this point are actually not too far apart, but there is a trend starting. This doesn't account for what we're calling our carnage points, which I think we'll find that John is probably already scoring on that board already.
in particular, the kind of like the way I looked at the scoring was if I can get the secondary easily at this stage, then I was going to go for it. But if I couldn't, then I like there was a one of my objectives was I had to shoot out a squad that was on an objective, and you only had two at the start. They were at the back, so I threw the basilisks at them, did some damage there, but didn't wipe the squad. And it was like, I'm not going to try and overcommit in a direction that I know I can't easily get, and just kind of hold back where needed, as it was.
An interesting turn, full of heartache, death, and probably some more heartache.
The kill lanes had begun to be established, and the funneling may have begun.
Yes, the firing lanes I pointed out early on were already starting to show their effectiveness, I suppose you could call it. So let's move on into round 2 and see whether anything changes. Here we are, battle round 2, and we've got our board state that we are currently sat at, and we're going to have a look at what happened in the movement phase. So let's just have a quick look at what has changed. We've got a lot of progress. I'm just going to swap back a little bit there, so you can just things pushing up as we might expect. The Dark Angel's not really moving too much. A couple of cheeky little manoeuvres, sort of crab walking almost.
There was so the Titan that was moving up to the building. Basically, I just shimmied back to the front line because I didn't need them on that front line, and I knew that whilst the Titans are good in melee, those knights are also good in melee. So I was like, if I can just pull him back a bit more, give myself a little bit more breathing room between this round and the next round, then I was going to do it. The chaplain and his squad jumped from one building into another building. Whilst he was doing that, the jump packs bravely decided to charge the Mastodon.
Oh, yeah, so I probably should point out as well, this particular shot is actually taken from the end of Battle Round 2, just to show you the movement. That's because I had to step out for 5 minutes, and it would appear that the players forgot to take their post-movement picture.
Yeah.
In my defense, John is the taller one, and he was the one doing the photo. So.
Thrown under that bus!
You saw that bus coming, and you were like, this is your bus. Yeah, no. There was a big bit in the movement phase of my brave Dark Angels with their jump packs decided to charge Mastodon, and I was like, it's a vehicle. How hard could it be to charge?
We'll find out how hard it was. Let's just say there might have been a little bit of salt shared in this round.
Yeah, there was a little bit, and Jamie is entirely to blame for this.
No, of course.
No, not entirely to blame. But there were some deep strikes that also happened along with, just basically like my movement here was very kind of cagey. I was very much going for keeping the defensive line, and keeping up a gun line whilst L moved across the board towards me.
So let's have a look at some cheeky deep strikes, shall we? Because I believe the Night Lords had at least one little deep strike. Right, so yes, there is a little deep strike here from the Night Lords. They've dropped their Terminators in just down here.
And of course, L made the deep strike exactly.
Of course.
Obviously. No doy.
It's
not my thing.
And they moved to the building, not into the building.
Learned that mistake. Learn the mistake.
Learn from that mistake. It was a good move, actually. Using the Terminators to sort of recover that position that you had lost is not a bad move at all. That is quite good. There was another deep strike that may not have happened because I pointed it out, which is what John was referring to. I did in no way recommend or endorse the manoeuvre he made, although I did very much enjoy it.
You were like, you should do it. And I was like, but maybe I want to save it for later. And you're like, but you could also do it now. And I was like, I could do it now and it would be really funny. I'll be honest, I don't regret it because it made me so happy to do this as a deep strike.
And it was.
The lion. Forrest walked onto the field and some Night Lords that were hiding at the back were like, oh no.
They looked over their shoulder and then looked over their shoulder again and was like,
what's Charles Dance doing here?
Yeah. He came out of deep strike. With and again, I very intentionally gave enough room that the deep strike would be safe, and I had a moment where I moved for the charge, and I was like, if I get a really high charge, maybe I could hit those glaives in the back. The fell glaives, are they?
They're just glaives.
Oh, they're just glaives. I was like, maybe I could hit those glaives in the back, and I was like, or I could try and take the objective. And yeah, the lion. The lion is obviously the second prior mark that we've had on the channel, and whereas Kurz is very much like I'm going to make you retreat. The lion is like, they don't need to retreat if there's nothing left standing.
This is probably not the greatest showcase of what the lion can do, considering he is just fighting basic Astartes. I think we're tooting the horn a little bit too much here.
Yes, but it was he does do a good job in terms of arriving on a field and causing some problems for some units.
Yes, and a phenomenal little model painted up there as well.
That was one that I actually did paint this time.
Yes, actually, we didn't even mention that. There are some models on this table that I didn't paint.
Yes.
Not many.
Yes, the lion is one of them.
Yes, we'll get another. There's another close-up later on. We'll get a better look at
it. Oh, nice. I was very pleased with my lion. He brings me great joy. And arriving onto the field was like, yes, let's cause some problems. Let's see the lion rocking onto the field.
So we will return to the lion shortly, but for now, let's check out what else was going on in the battlefield. Because as you can see from our little graphic here, there is quite a few things taking place across the battlefield.
The middle was spicy.
I wonder what one of those things is alluding to again. There were things that happened, weren't there, John?
Yes. For better or worse.
let's see whether you're ever invited back into the studio again, shall we?
At this rate, it's going to be you and me, Jamie. We'll only be allowed to. I'll be bumped to your category, and I'll have to learn to play against you.
Well, you play like you did this time, and you stand a very good chance. Here we go. Let's go into focal point 1. Oh, look at this. We have the beautifully painted Vindicators there that are just itching to get into the game. Come on, tell us what happened.
I was like, Vindicators are bad. I've got Leman Russes don't like tanks. Let's try shooting those Vindicators with all those Leman Russ guns. And Vanquisher cannons plus laser cannons equal dead Vindicators.
You were the one that told me to separate them into 2 groups. I separated them into 2 groups.
I maintain that it was still the right call to split them into 2 teams.
You still have 4 more.
Because it then requires 2 separate units to shoot the groups rather than just 1 unit to shoot them and potentially delete all of them. And again, it was an intentional target of those get the Vindicators out before they can shoot, because it was on this turn where you actually had them in a position where they could get a shot off. And I was particularly worried about you hitting a building that I had guys in. I was like, I want to try and keep that building. Let's just get rid of them before they can get a shot off.
I mean, yeah, it was for you, it definitely was the right thing to do. I was just very upset because obviously I separated them into the two groups to try and differentiate fire and make sure that they weren't going to be taken out all in one go, and they still ended up dying on the second turn, no less.
I mean, sadly, once again,
Pain.
they are in the firing lane.
Those Leman Russes did not have to move. And actually, I will say, this is not me in it. Like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I clarified a rule with Jamie about the way that what's the word for it? It's not high command. Tactical command works. Mass Tactician. And Mass Tactician works. And I asked this, I was like, does it have to happen at only the beginning, like when you choose a unit to activate? And it was clarified that it's part of the activation. So my commander was within range of my Leman Russes to give them first fire. So they had first fire because the commander was in range. In the movement phase, I moved the commander across to the other side of the board to then be within range of my Malcadors, who were obviously had to go onto the advancing fire order, but when he got over there, changed the order back to first fire, managing to kind of basically essentially then had a commander that just had to keep running back and forth either side between these, being like, no, don't move, shoot your guns, do what you've been doing the entire game, just keep shooting your guns. If you see it move, keep shooting your guns until it stops moving. That was basically what those Leman Russes just did. They were just like, cool, we just keep shooting whatever appears.
Just got a commander that's forgotten what Vox channel they're on. Just has to keep running between.
Just booking it back and forth. Like, why did we buy the cheap walkie-talkies? They don't have the range.
They bought the cheap ones from that commander.
some sly bullet peddler was like, I got these ones. These are on discount. Discount Dan's radios.
But I mean, yeah, this was one of the many moments of this game where I realised that it was the beginning of the end, and you'll see why very shortly. And I hope it entertains you. I hope my pain entertains you.
Only the beginning of round 2. It's fine.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Pain? Maybe?
Ogrin Smash!
I mean, they are some of my favourite units in the game.
Oh,
And this is why.
They rock it like Ogrin. I look at Ogrin and I look at the stat and I'm like, okay, a 6-up save, so basically nothing. And then you look at the wounds, you're like, oh, 2 wounds, you say?
in the game, predominantly occupied by single wound units.
So yeah, it was the march of there were 3 Ogrin squads that I had in this game, just 3 groups of 4, and they were very much just like a counter punch kind of piece. It was like when something was in range for them to charge them. The guys who I think that squad that was at the back, they basically stayed at the back for the entire game. I think after they took out those ones that had the drop pods, I was like, there's nothing else that. After the Terminators teleported in, I was like, else has nothing else that's in teleporting or in deep strike. Just start moving them forwards. They were moving their way up the board, but these guys were waiting, and they're like, something to break, and off they run. They might have done some breaking.
How much breaking do you think they did?
I believe they broke both those Land Raiders, and I think all those.
That's a lot of breaking.
Yeah.
Ogrin.
Yeah.
Smash.
Yeah, Ogrin did indeed smash. They rocked up, and I mean the Land Raiders. I was kind of like, this is possibly a given. Land Raiders are 1 wound, and not a high calf. Ogrin, Furious Charge, Rend. They're gonna hit them. When I was like 1-to-1 against Contemptor Dreadnoughts. Okay, they're not Leviathan Dreadnoughts, but they're still Dreadnoughts. They've got good stuff on them. Yeah.
Not good enough, obviously.
Not against a pair of Charon.
And they did suffer the the Overwatch fire, but the Overwatch fire I think only ended up plinking off a wound to them. I think there's a little marker there which says that they've taken a wound at that stage. Then they just ran into the back of those contemptors.
It was a rather brutal gambit from the Ogren there, and I feel like again we need another scene here from another movie, which is just Hulk smashing Loki into the ground and superimpose O's face.
that was the Ogren. That was just the Ogren fully just like.
You know that I love Loki as well. You just had to twist that knife in there, didn't you?
There was then some retaliation.
There was some retaliation, you're quite right. Because this is not entirely a one-person show. What happened here?
Pew pew! Something died, and it was one base of Ogren. And...
Was it?
Well, I think it
Was
was
it?
the one.
Was it one base?
Oh, it was one group!
Yes, so you know those Ogren that smashed up those Land Raiders?
Yeah, the unsurprisingly tanks mounted with like heavy plasma arrays, even with Ogrins having 2 wounds, not necessarily going to save them in the long run. There
might have been a bit of bolt of fire that went in there as well, but yeah, the Sakarans dealt with the Ogren quite handily in
yes.
like that.
I couldn't be that mad because they had just kind of done what they needed to do. They ran out, they smashed something, they died. If I could have got them to charge something else, awesome. But I was like, they're gonna smash something. If they die, they die. Like I knew that. Actually, to be fair, in my head, I was kind of the opinion of if I can hit one of the Land Raiders, then I'm ready to move on to another charge afterwards. When both Land Raiders exploded, I was like, oh, okay, guys, I guess I'm going to lose them then. Like, I've traded a squad of Ogren for 2 Land Raiders. That's not an unfair trade.
It's not bad. I'd be interested. I need to double check what the point cost in relation is that. The steaming pile of burning Ogren left in a very sorry state. Progress onwards because we also have yet more carnage coming out from the Dark Angel side in the form of those horrifically powerful las cannons.
Yeah, the Contemptors, having melted the Arbigers, similarly took a look at that squad of Vindicators and was like, they've not shot yet. I don't want them to shoot. And fired all their las cannons into them. I didn't kill all of them.
No, just half of them.
Only half of them.
No, but what happened to the other 2, John? You made them so scared that they ran away. Night Lord's Vindicators were so scared about 9 dreadnoughts.
10.
Alright, 10. Alright, 10. 10 dreadnoughts.
Yeah, they turned tail and they headed out of there.
They certainly did. It was a shame that the Vindicators once again didn't get to show off too much in this game. One day we will get the hero shot of the Vindicators doing some damage. I feel like I need to paint up my Lehman Rush demolishers and see if I can try and get them to do something.
The Demolisher cannons are scary. They're very short range. Like, you've got to really be prepared to chuck them in.
There's definitely potentially a tactic that needs to be worked out with the demolishers, which we haven't figured out yet. But
You need to paint. You need to make and paint up the tank flyers.
Yeah.
Drop them in.
get the big
Desperately.
Thunderhawk things that just drop them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I desperately
You need
want those, yeah.
I mean, I'll
Just
tell you what, John, have you got the file for that?
I do somewhere.
We might
I
have to
have a file. I have the file for everything somewhere.
we generally might actually just have to make one of those up and try it out.
Either that, or like try and like jam a rhino inside of a drop pod and be like, there you go, it's a rhino drop pod now. It can't ever move. It's got
Rhino
a
drop
cannon.
pod. Wait,
Just a demolisher cannon mounted.
Why has
inside
Games-
a drop pod.
why has Games Workshop never done a Rhino drop pod? I mean, Fast and Furious basically did it.
What you're talking about there is just dropping a rhino from orbit. Deep Strike Rhino. Deep Strike Rhino also is the most orc thing I've ever what are we dropping in? The rhino.
I mean, in fairness, the Grey Knights could do it once.
The Grey Knights could do it once.
They
yes.
could do it with Land
They
Raiders.
could also do it with Land Raiders, which was even funnier.
Teleporting Land Raiders. Why not?
That's horrifying. That is genuinely
That would be
horrifying.
horrifying. I feel like a new psychic power coming on. Moving on from the poor indicators, which we will mourn. We have more carnage taking place. Well, when I say carnage, Ellis, would you like to tell us what happened here? Because there seems to be a lot of your tanks on the screen at the moment. What were they doing?
I tried to take out Chaplain again. Didn't work.
Chaplain Berith stands firm.
I mean, it wasn't...
Relatively.
I was going to say, relatively, it wasn't a total survival this time, because quite a few of the Dark Angels did go down this time.
I think what was the funniest ones was the two falchions firing in, and it was like, no, you don't get a save anymore. And at that point, that's the moment where, you know, the apothecary's like, there's only shoes left. What do I do with shoes? These Titan killing weapons, and just this squad just evaporated down to the shoe. But yes, the chaplain took the shot. There were some losses.
There were a significant amount of losses, in fairness. There's not much left of the unit now.
I think I killed 4 bases, maybe 5.
But again, a significant commitment in firepower to deal with basic infantry is. There is an element of that. Obviously, that is a structure. The building does actually provide quite a bit of durability for infantry. It's just unfortunate that for elves, particularly on that first round, that nothing went down when it probably should have done. This would have been a very different picture in round 2. It is a bit unfortunate in some ways, but it leads to a very cool narrative which we'll continue to build on, as you'll see, not just in this episode, but probably in the future as well. Let's move on from the heroic stand of the chaplain in the centre, because there is yet more, and this is something we were alluding to during the movement phase. John, this is your moment, perhaps not to shine, but to be humbled.
So yeah, this was these are assault interceptors. These are not assault interceptors. These are assault marines. They've got a good calf. We can get in. You know, we can do some damage. So first of all, the Overwatch happened, and the Overwatch I watched over half.
Would you like to see how much damage El's masterfully played Overwatch did?
Oh, have we got them in separate? Because then there was the. Okay, so the Overwatch happens.
I've also just noticed there's an artifact in that picture, which is very annoying. Someone's firing a laser out of the side of the building there.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, just a little cheeky bonus. But yeah, the Overwatch, I underestimated the Overwatch, much to my Assault Marines' chagrin there. But I was like, okay, cool. We've lost a chunk of them. How bad could the melee be? They're just tanks. How could I possibly do that badly against? You know, maybe I could, like, if I could start to remove some of the void shields, or, you know, get some wounds in there, then, you know, subsequent rounds it's going to be fine. That's another 2 dead bases.
Just the one dead base. So the combat did not go in your favour at all. You lost 1 base immediately, did 1 wound to a Mastodon, and then the final fight somehow ended in a draw.
It was nice to win something, sort of, but after everything that I'd lost at this point, this was where I was like, okay, alright, something's gone okay. Maybe there's a chance.
I grossly underestimated just how good the Mastodons are. And to be fair, I shouldn't have. That was a really dumb move, because they are a super heavy tank at the end of the day.
Honestly, some of the coolest models I've ever had the pleasure of painting. And the fact that
I love them.
The fact that their models are actually quite nice as well, it just is that cherry on top. I mean, that's the first time I've seen the Overwatch being used quite like that. And it was a marvel to behold. I could just picture these just almost descending from the streets, or, you know, from the buildings into the street, as these guns just open fire and just obliterate these guys halfway in the air. They just rain down like chunks.
And you literally threw everything at them, and they had a really bad time with that.
It was a very cinematic moment. I think I remember us talking about it at the time and just being like, imagine like these two massive like tanks just absolutely firing all they got onto these dudes on the ground. And then when we drew the combat, I was like, the breath of relief that I breathed was, oh my goodness.
There was a small, I know, I'm not going to say it's a lot, but there was a bit of tactics in this, in the sense of you still had at this stage a squad of contemptors in there. And I was like,
I did.
If I can get these lines of Marines to like into combat, and I expected to be like, okay, I'm not necessarily going to maybe win the combat, but if I can tie up there, you couldn't deploy them on the front because they have to be deployed in base space. So you'd have to deploy them on the back, which then, knowing how fast like dreadnoughts are, they would have to either walk away around or move through, but they'd have to move there. It would cause some difficulty. I did not anticipate just being like hit a wall and just explode on the wall. It was a nasty melee, and I think they've got like a base cap of 4 or something like that, which is nuts for a vehicle.
Pretty sure it's a 4, which is the highest out of all of the vehicles that I have. I think all of my other tanks are a 2.
Most tanks generally speaking are about 2. The last ones are 4, which is quite impressive for what they are. But
it makes sense that if they roll over something, it's gone.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be standing in that thing's way. That's for sure.
No.
And so those Space Marines regretted it considerably as well. It doesn't end there, because we do now have to return to a very fun, key moment to end Battle Round 2, because, of course, it has to be the Lion. And I'm going to praise John here. Please admire that model with the cool little scene of the blade guard at the base of the rock. I mean, just masterfully done there. It just looks phenomenal.
It does have it's Primarch energy, is what it is.
I have a soft spot for the Lion in his helmet as well. The fact that he has his helmet on in the model is amazing.
I really want to recreate this at 28mm scale, like do like a massive 80mm base.
But yeah, so the Lion went into melee combat against the Marines. What I will say is there is a token by the Lion that isn't the charge token, because you turn around and I went, I'm going to charge, and you went, I'm going to Overwatch, and I was like, cool. Tacticals. I only have to. I've got a good save. They don't have any AP. I just have to not roll a 1.
Oh, what did you do, John?
I rolled a 1 and got 1 wound on the Lion.
Yeah, that felt good a little bit. Not gonna lie.
The Primarchs aren't immortal.
No, they're not.
He did take a scratch.
But one of his blade guard fell over.
But the Night Lords that he ran into, however.
Oh, yeah.
Mush.
I feel it's lore accurate. Wait, the blade guard in that is just overkill.
The Blade Guard are just there to watch. They're taking notes.
They're eating popcorn, just kind of like.
I almost feel like they kind of march up to this little ruin at the back of the battlefield. The Blade Guard just kind of stop still, and then they just part, and the Lion strides through them and just cleaves through all of these Night Lords like they're nothing.
But the ones at the back still held firm. They didn't break.
They didn't break. They literally saw these 10 of their brothers being chopped to pieces by the Lion. They're like, yeah, we can do this. We can do this.
Right.
We'll have a go.
We've wounded him once. We can do it again.
1 wounds. We can do it again.
He bleeds. We can kill him.
Tasty. Yum, yum.
It's a subtle, but yet still quite cool entrance for the Primarch.
And we were laughing because he is literally, there is the army of Night Lords between him and the rest of the force.
Yeah, so you made the interesting choice of actually running him solo. So the rules I've written for him, he acts like a commander in the sense of all other clans, so he can join units. But he does have the deep strike unit. And you didn't have any deep striking units.
Yeah, I was I was kind of treating him a bit like for this purpose of being like, he's a piece that I can put at the back of the board, and whilst he is a Primarch and is expensive, it would require basically, commitment to turn round and deal with him. Yeah, that was the thinking of having him entirely running on his own. Is like, you take advantage of the deep strike. If there is an opportunity, run him out and start doing some damage in the back line. I need to pull him back. It's going to be what it is. But yeah, it ended up working out surprisingly well. I was really trying. So after the fight and all this, I was like, cool, let's clear the objective. Fired all the basilisk shots, missed every shot.
That was, missing every shot with the basilisk. That was a stroke of luck.
This was the objective was to take that from you, and unless I wiped the squad, which I couldn't do in melee because I could only get into base contact with 2 of them, I was like, cool, basilisks, fire everything at that back line.
It's okay. It's fine. Quite frankly, you don't need the extra win right now because you're doing well enough. You can't roll hot for everything. So this is the end state of the round, which we've already seen. Here we are. As you can see, there's more gaps forming, but the Night Lords are creeping up. We are starting to see a little bit of a push. The question is, how much of a push can we make? Because the scores are starting to go a bit wild.
Yeah, I don't think I got that many points at all in this round.
Just seeing that board there does make me realise quite how thin the Night Lords had gotten at this stage already.
I honestly, at the end of turn 2, I think we sat down for a break, and I was just kind of like, oh my, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I have no idea how I'm going to pull this back, how I'm going to manage to try and do anything right now. And I'm like, I'm sat there, and I was like, I'm sat there, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but we're going to push through to turn 3, and I will do the best with what I have left, which wasn't all that much. Not compared to John, who I don't actually think at this point I had taken out more than one entire unit. I think that unit of Ogren was the only unit that I'd taken out at this point.
And I still had the Land Raiders were still full of Marines, just ready to roll up the board.
You had all of your strong stuff. You still had, whereas you had basically obliterated most of my strongest kind of stuff, which was very, very sad.
There's still definitely potentially play here. If certain actions were taken, it could have still been an interesting scenario, potentially. We're going to have to go to the end of round 3 to see how that happened, or what happened. Whether certain actions were fulfilled. So let's head over to Battle Round 3. So, here we go into Battle Round 3 then. Let's see what chaos and carnage take place and how much John pours salt down Elle's throat. So, let's have a little look at the battlefield here then. So, this is pre-movement. As we move into post-movement, we can see the advances that took place. And we have a lot of progress from the Night Lords pushing straight forward, very aggressively, as we would expect, no less from elves.
It was warranted at this point, let's be fair.
The first of the Marine reinforcements came out, and I discovered that I do not know how buildings work. Because I was like, aha, I will reinforce the building that has taken a load of shots. And Jamie's like, no. Only one detachment per building. And I'm like, bugger.
Which is an interesting point. I do. That is one of the systems I have thought about changing again, also in Legions, because I feel like the buildings, garrisonable structures should have a transport capacity. So, particularly large buildings should be able to have a capacity of, say, 10 models or whatever it is. And likewise, and that way you can also introduce the idea that units with the bulky keyword take up 2 spaces. So, a small building can't hold as many Terminators. We may see me introduce that concept at some point. As of right now, we haven't got that in place.
More for the compendium.
Oh, yes. That document needs to be finished off.
This was my movement phase, as with most of this game, was very easy. because very few things moved.
Lots of first firing, wasn't there?
As much first firing as I believe I could muster.
So much first firing. It was like we were going through the section, and every time John was done, I was like, "Do you have any more?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've got like another 3 units." And then we finally thought he was done, and then he goes, "Oh no, wait a minute, I've got one more." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine."
Right, so then, let's move on and have a look at what we're actually going to look at for Battle Round 3. So I'm going to pop us over to the main screen, and I'm going to reveal to you our focal points for Battle Round 3. So nice and consistent, we've still got 7 points. You'll also notice that number 7 seems to be over a particular building, which I know a certain someone is rather giddy about.
Spoiler alert, it's not me.
So without further ado, let's crack on. Oh, look who we have here.
I very much toyed, by the way, with running him into the other squad, because the other squad also had 2 bases, and I was like, no, let's play it a little safe and just charge this squad and do what the Lion does best when he gets charged. I was genuinely surprised that I managed to just keep the Lion in L's back line. Like I thought there would be a moment that some guns would turn around and you would, maybe just out of spite try and shoot the Lion with some of the heavy guns. But yeah, he just got to have fun at the back line.
He did some chopping. He did some slicing, because obviously 10 guys just wasn't enough for him, so he had to have another 10. Which, we've all been there. It's one of those things where I had the choice of I can sacrifice a couple of bases of dudes, or I can essentially waste some shots of some tanks that could be used for something else. Maybe I could have used some firepower to take out the Lion, but at this point, wasn't really sure whether that was really going to benefit me all that much, which is why I didn't bother.
I don't think it would have helped that much.
Just let him have some enrichment time.
The Lion has gone through the game so far unscathed and taken quite a tally of poor, innocent Astarte lives. Innocent's a stretch, but...
Innocent is a very much a stretch.
Especially with Night Lords.
That's a stretch Armstrong is what that is.
But there was more that took place on the battlefield, and ironically the Lion probably wasn't the focus of the battle.
No, he was just at the back chilling.
He was at the back chilling, doing his thing. Elsewhere, things were underfoot.
This.
Oh.
So, and I don't know whether this is a mark of pride or shame, but I did a move, and Jamie was like, "That's a really good move."
What did I do? I fell for it.
Can we hide our cameras just super quick, just so I can point out to Eliza what happened here. So that squad of Ogryn that were sat at the back for the entire game.
Yeah.
I advanced them to just in front of my tanks that I knew El was going to charge.
Oh no.
and El goes, "I'm going to charge the tanks." So I went, "Okay, where are they going to fit?"
Oh, that's nasty.
John in this game was that guy.
I was fully that guy. I had that guy moment, and I was like, "Well, I can charge around them." Can you? Can you get all the way around them with both knights? So yeah, the knights ended up just having to charge the Ogryn, and I was like, "That's fine by me, because they're not in. I know where the guns are going to go instead." And the Ogryn were also placed so that the knights couldn't be behind the line of the Titan as well, so they were still in the firing line of the Titan. I'll be honest, I was both proud and ashamed of this move at the same time.
So let's focus in on this somewhat positive for the Night Lords, in that their knights did fight the Ogryn.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's knights versus Ogryn. the Knights did win the fight quite handily. Of course, Ogren being 2 wounds makes that a little bit of a problem, because currently in the game, there is only one method, as far as I'm aware, of doing multi-damage in combat. And it's a very, very small amount of units that can do it. One. So yeah, these towering monstrosities can't do 2 damage in combat, which I think is a travesty.
But at that moment in time, they just basically just chipped a little bit of damage off of every Ogren. And got hit back at the same time.
Yeah, so one of the Knights did take a cheeky wound from one of the Ogren bases, but they did handily win the combat against the Ogren, which I believe still held firm regardless, because the Ogren are too stupid to run.
Literally too dumb to run away.
But in spite of this positive light, it did leave the Knights a little bit open.
So you remember those contemptors that have basically looked at anything and deleted it every single time? So they looked at the Knights this time, as did that missile squad that had just sat there for almost the entire game and just plinked shots off every now and then.
There was also another 2 units that also fired into them.
Oh, all of the Malcadors! and one gun from the Titan. It was they were in a fire, like they were in a kill box. It wasn't even a kill alley at that stage. They'd walked into a kill box.
This was the definition of crossfire.
I was a Gene Stealer player that day.
They're completely over it. Yes, no, this was very cool. It was very thematic. It was very cool. You pulled them in, got them tricked them into a cool little maneuver, and then they just got absolutely pasted.
On the plus side, that's 4 units firing at 1 unit.
It is. That is true.
Yeah.
Which would be absolutely fine had Els not already had half our army deleted in the previous 2 turns. Otherwise, yes, that would have been a reasonable trade. But at this point, Els needed every unit on the table. And John said, hold my beer.
Yeah.
It was a sad time for me. It was a sad moment to be me, because this was one of there's this point, and then there's another point where I was just like, I'm so boned, and yeah, it was just like this earth-shattering realization that I was completely and utterly bested.
I don't think the next bit's going to help you in that scenario.
Oh, it's so painful.
Because what happened with the Russes again?
The Russes looked at the Sakarans and said, what if we shot everything at the Sakarans? And that's a lot of Russ guns, and those are Vanquisher cannons, and las cannons, and the Sakarans were only 4 models, and just literally, it was a I shoot, Els picks up a unit.
It's pretty consistent.
It was very consistent. It was...
And it doesn't end there. Because there's another unit of Sakarans.
Yes, the other unit of Sakarans, and the basilisks that spent the entire game just indirect firing was like, hold on, we can directly see those guys, directly shot at the Sakarans. And yeah, they got pretty good AP, and now they were hitting on 4s, and that meant a lot more.
It is worth noting that technically one of these was killed by a cheeky missile that came from off screen.
Yes.
Effectively, yes, they were obliterated by a blistering array of firepower once again.
So how is it running an army of smoke tokens?
Shots fired!
That's not funny
brutal.
either.
Brutal.
I expected more of you, Eliza. It's not fair.
We are Alpharius.
the three-headed Hydra. This next move, though, I was very proud. This was that Titan. It still needed to shoot. Now, Els, going into this, where did you think I was going to shoot with that Titan?
I don't know. I wasn't thinking straight. I was bitter about losing all of my other stuff. I wasn't really thinking at this point.
Because so Els had one of the secondaries, which is sabotage an objective. So had taken this building with the Terminators, and I was like, that is the only unit of infantry left on the field. That's where that sabotage is going to be taking place.
Yeah.
So I was like, I could target the Terminators, or my guns have a demolisher keyword.
Bring the building down.
So
bring the building down. He did.
So yeah, lovely little tower for the Terminators. Boom.
leveled the building, and the 4 Terminators inside.
survivors.
They technically got a save. They just did not survive it.
No.
Mind you, it's a skyscraper falling on their heads. I'm not really surprised. That was a tactically prudent move, wiped out an infantry squad that were preparing to do an objective, but it's not entirely doom and gloom. The Night Lords had one small shining hope in the round, in the form of the brand new and never before used, before this game, super heavy battle tanks that we've already mentioned a couple of times, and they finally got in range to do something that they should have been doing.
I more or less wasted them until this point, to be completely honest. They kind of just sat back and did nothing because they were too far away. Or if they did something, it wasn't really worth mentioning. So this was a little gem before the end.
And what did they do?
They vaporized some Russes. Yes, they did. I think they took out maybe 3? Maybe 4.
Yep. But that wasn't the coolest part. Honestly, what they did to the Russes, not blowing them up, was the coolest part. Because I didn't know that they had this ability, which was they make it so you can only fire one weapon.
Shock pulse.
Yeah, so they have the
pulse.
shock pulse rule, which basically takes away all but one of your guns.
Yeah, so the any unit struck by a shock pulse weapon can only, therefore, the next time they shoot, select one weapon to fire with, and also the next time they move, it's half a move.
Which I was like, that's really good.
Yeah, that's insane.
Which is why they're very tasty against Titans, especially the bigger Titans that have lots of guns, because you only have to get one hit through. In addition to that, they also have Shield Bane, which means they do. Oh, no, it's not Shield Bane, but they have. That same rule gives them double damage to Void Shields, so they can strip Void Shields very quickly.
I appreciate this is literally just pure salt in the wound at this stage, but like that's what they definitely should have been doing from turn 1.
I know. Yeah, I don't. Like I said at the beginning, I wanted to keep them away from the Titan as much as possible, because in my head I was like, oh, well, he knows they're a Titan. He knows that they're Titan killers, so he's probably gonna wanna target them. But obviously,
And I did want to target them.
You did. But it would have been nice if I had thought a little bit better about it and actually used them properly. But it's a learning curve for next time, which I keep telling myself.
We will get you there, it's fine. In the interim, we do have a finale to our round 3. And I think if you've been paying attention to this episode, you kind of know where we're going to go with this, because there is a certain character on the field that hasn't been mentioned this round.
Chaplain Bereth once again takes fire from takes a set of fire from a full, or I think they were still a full squad, a full detachment, of missile marines, anti-infantry missiles, ignoring cover into a building. There's only 2 bases left. What are the odds of, like 8? No, more than 8, because it was anti-infantry ones, so it would have been 2 shots apiece. It would have been 16 shots.
No, it was 8. There's 4 bases of missiles.
Oh, it was only 4 bases. Oh, sorry, I thought it was a full one, but yes. 8 shots, hitting on 4s, hitting on 5s, hitting on 5s, ignores cover.
Yeah, so no fancy cover saves, nothing like that. What do we think happened?
Eliza, any guesses?
I'm assuming the chaplain lived.
The chaplain did indeed live.
Oh, yes.
His final squaddy mates were killed off, but The chaplain, by all odds, yet again. stands.
Honestly, this fucking dude, man. Oh.
Nightmares. Actual nightmares about this guy.
There are no words. I have absolutely nothing to say except I've got nothing left.
That chaplain was, they shall know no fear. they continued, like they lost again half their unit, and I mean it's a 2+ save, but again they did not rout, they did not move from that spot.
So yes, it was a sound survival there, and a sound thrashing in certain ways for the Night Lords. This is the end of board state. I will just highlight cameras a little bit here, just so you can just see quite how little. I'm sorry, Els. Of the Night Lords are left. This is basically all that stands out the end of turn.
Yeah, I think in terms of total for Night Lords, it was the 2 Mastodons, 4 of the Predators were left, the 2 Falchions were left, 3 of the Kratos, 4 of the a detachment of missiles, and I think 2 stands of tacticals at the back.
Not enough to make an appreciable difference going forward.
Do you know what is the funniest bit about this? Is the fact that John's back line doesn't look all that different from turn 1.
It really doesn't.
No.
It really, really doesn't.
I kind of want to just like put together a collection, like just see how little the conversion beamer Warhound actually moved the entire game, because I don't think it did.
Yeah.
It's still next to that silo.
It stayed on first fire from turn 1.
It literally was like, cool, just keep coming.
It was basically a sentry turret.
A very, very big and scary sentry turret.
It's so unusual for a John play to be defensive and backlining and not run in.
It's almost like he's been listening to what I've said to him for the last 10 games.
Yeah. He's learning. He's starting to believe.
So yes, as you can imagine, the scores were swinging wildly in one way. And as we said, we didn't have enough Night Lords on the table for it to make an appreciable difference. So it was agreed by the players that the game probably should end there for everyone's sake. I'm sure John would have enjoyed blowing a few more off the table, but I don't think that would have been very fun for Els. Or for you as the viewer.
Won the first 3 rounds, so no.
I feel like the carnage tally probably runs away with it.
I think we actually looked at the maths, and because Carnage is based off of full detachments destroyed, isn't it? There was barely even the jump pack Marines. One of them just left from the just left from the fight against the Mastodons, which I was like, cool, I'm not going to deal with them anymore. We're leaving, guys. Off we go.
It was a bit of a one-sided game, I'm afraid. This one, which is going to happen at some point, and I think Legions is quite well balanced. It doesn't happen all that often. And I think I discussed with both players at the end of the game that there was a tactical misstep, shall we say, from the Night Lords, kind of basically funneling into those firing lanes, especially when there's literally a Titan and 12 Vanquisher cannons able to draw lines of sight basically directly down those lines. It was a significant amount of firepower, but there was options in terms of terrain and movement that could have mitigated that considerably. So sadly, it was just a bit of a misplay, really. And it was a misplay that, unfortunately for you, Els, was masterfully capitalised on by John. It's not like you completely did everything wrong. I don't think you did everything wrong at all. You made quite a big mistake in the sense that it cost you the game, but it was also compounded by the fact that John used it to full effect.
Yeah, and I think the problem was, in the beginning, I was so sure about my deployment. I was so sure about the movement in turn 1. that I think I allowed myself to get a little bit cocky, and I don't think that helped my case whatsoever when it came to trying to outsmart John. And I ended up kind of just... Well, no, I ended up getting mullered, essentially. But I will say that it was very... No, it was still fun. Like, I still enjoyed the game. I think I just needed to kind of be a little bit more kind of... What's the word I'm looking for? I needed to strategize a little bit better.
This game for me is very much like what I quite often say, and I have said it in many games I've played against everybody. It was almost lost in the movement phase. The movement phase was the turning point, essentially, because of the positioning. Positioning was the problem. And if you tightened down the positioning and used it correctly, you'd have a very different game. But again, it's not always obvious and it's straightforward every time. You know, it wasn't a game we filmed, I don't think. Was it a game we filmed? I think it might have been the first game I played, actually, against you, John. And you had a defensive line. Basically, I couldn't get into it.
Yes, with the Solar Auxilia.
Yes. And that's another classic case of, a really heavily defended position that was very hard to get into. And I think you obviously learned from that as well, because there were a couple of points where you sort of did let up a little bit. And that was very hard to get into. Very hard. So you played it exactly right. But it's not impossible to break into. It's just about positioning correctly and priority targeting, stuff like that. That can kind of help break that defense line. So you didn't have an easy time with it. Let's be honest.
Not helped by the fact that John's pivoted from playing World Eaters to Imperial Fists.
It was nice because I've got the set now, because I've been annihilated by Jamie, I've been mullered by John, and I also got absolutely defeated by Eliza as well. So I've got the set now. So my time is coming. You gotta watch your back, because I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna roundhouse your ass. It's gonna be great. when I eventually win a game, you're not gonna know what's hitting you.
Sorry, I was just gonna jump off what Eliza said, which is, so you're saying that I'm playing a Legion that uses a range of different tactics, almost like the Dark Angels.
I suppose, yeah.
You've heard it here first. Ellis intends to bring the pain next time she's on the show, so we'll see. The next game that's being played, as I've already alluded to in this episode, is myself and Eliza. So Ellis will have an opportunity to actually watch us play and see if she can pick up a few hints and tips and tricks. We'll see whether we can bring those Night Lords into the winning side for the next time they come out. I think that is probably where we're going to end this today in terms of our chat for the battle report. The battle report has concluded on round 3. The Night Lords are retreating. The chaplain, standing proud and aloft, covered in the blood and guts of his own men, stands on his point of office, or victory, I don't know, in the building, in the centre of the table, watching the Night Lords turn and run. And as you're about to find out, it will make a rather large speech to round out the battle. So let's head over to the epilogue for our story.
Stand and be counted, brothers. Look upon the heretic. The wretched turn and flee. Back into the waste they will crawl. The righteous held under fire without fear. You did not yield. This ground is ours. Not given, not taken, earned with blood and fire. Raise your voices, brothers. Let them hear us as they turn tail. Let them carry our fury into the dark. The First Legion does not break. Wait. Do my senses deceive me? There, the edge of the city. I feel his eyes watching.
So there we are. That is the end of our show today. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you would be so kind, please do leave a comment down below and let us know what you think the line was up to. You know, what was he doing? Why was he there? I mean, he clearly wasn't part of the main battle. Just off the bat doing his own thing. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out in a future episode. But while you're down there leaving that comment, do check that you are liked and subscribed to the channel, and do feel free to contact us through the various social media platforms that we're on, and send us some images of your own hobby and battles maybe, that we can then review and talk about on our next episode of Tanker Talk, which we will be recording in the next couple of weeks, I believe. So there's still plenty of time to get in on that. But that is it from us here at the Mead Hall. Thank you very much once again for joining us. I have been your host, Jay. I have been joined by the lovely
Ow.
John?
We'll see you next time in the Mead Hall. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
Bye.